Comic books and books this week, we have Deadpool and Wolverine returning once again together. Alien Romulus getting a prequel, and also season 4 of Stranger Things is getting a prequel. So it's a very, very interesting situation going on there. Hello, nerds, and welcome to this week's episode of The News as it pertains to comic books and books. No discussion of current storylines, story arcs, or any of those kind of details is going to happen here per se. I am, after all, a one-man organization and can't read every book that comes out and report on it and any of the news therein. But we can talk about new announcements and major changes as they pertain to any of the publishers that we follow, or just generally nerdy literary information in that sense. So let's get into all of that, shall we? And also, if you dig what's going on here, there is a much more up-to-date and possibly relevant, because it takes a second to get these sections posted up, so probably much more up-to-date version of the news in long form I like to call The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, which you can find linked in the description as well as at the end of this video. That show covers many more points of interest in the nerd community, in the pop culture community at large, and so definitely go check that out. Now let's get into all of those literary notes, shall we? No follow-ups, no corrections, no trailers this week either in comic books. We just have regular ass news. Kicking things off, we have Deadpool and Wolverine, a new book, a new ongoing book. This isn't going to be set number of issues or anything like that, like we previously got. So if you remember, over the course of the summer, we got Weapon Extraction. Yes, Weapon Extraction, which brought these two together, and that was like an 8-issue miniseries or maxi series, whatever. Now we're getting an ongoing series with these two characters. The writer rather is going to be Benjamin Percy, who previously wrote for X-Force. We have art from Joshua Cassera, who previously did art for the X-Men proper team. That is the creative team. I mean, at this point, it's kind of proved to me it's not a cash grab, because like that kind of feels like what this is. The Wolverine and Deadpool did really well in theaters, and now they have an ongoing book. Okay, what is there? What substance is there, guys? Let's see. Maybe it's going to be great. The way that they're billing it is they want it to feel like 80s action movie. They're not taking inspiration from the theatrical released movie. This actually went into development before the movie was even released. Though when you say that in an interview, you definitely are leaving out the fact that you work for the parent company of the people that are making the theatrical movie, so you probably had some inside information. And also, the previous 2 Deadpool movies exist, so you know where they're going with this. So to say that it's not influenced by the Deadpool movie, the popularity of the Deadpool movies, is probably a little bit disingenuous. To say that it's heavily or not heavily influenced by that is probably fair. But to say that it's not at all influenced by that seems a little fake. Either way, they're also saying that they want it to feel like 80s action movies. They want it, you could turn the page and see Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone or Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that would fit. That would make sense, the way that they're writing the action and all the stuff in these books. Or in this book, rather. So, yeah, interested to see how that translates. When is it coming out? Did they have that? No release date on it just yet, but they are working on it, so it'll happen soon. And I mean, I'm sure I probably just overlooked the release date if it already exists, so please somebody correct me in the comment section. That's what we got on that one, though. Let's talk about Alien Romulus next. We have a prequel to the movie that did fairly well when it came out. If you wanted to see how Romulus Station got in the middle of a xenomorph infection, this is that story, it would seem. We have writer Zac Thompson and art from Daniel Picciotto. It's a hell of a last name. I apologize for definitely mispronouncing it. This is also going to be in collaboration with the team who wrote the script for the movie. Director Fede Alvarez and co-writer Rodo Sayagues, I think is how that is pronounced. They will also be putting their 2 cents in the story as well. So that's pretty dang cool. That's what we got on that one. Our next piece is Rise of Hellfire. This is a Stranger Things prequel. This is Eddie Munson. This is kind of this retells the story of the D&D campaign that got Eddie Munson into Dungeons and Dragons, and then, you know, subsequently got our heroes in Stranger Things, Dustin and Lucas and the other kid. Oh, it's in the notes. I swear to God, it is Mike. There we go. Dustin, Mike, and Lucas all get the, you know, they get sucked into the D&D as well because of Eddie Munson, and that is the story that we're getting here. This is technically a crossover between the Dungeons and Dragons franchise and the Stranger Things franchise, but I feel like Stranger Things is kind of an ongoing crossover situation with the Dungeons and Dragons franchise. So we have the creative team is as follows. Where did my notes on that one start? We have writer Jody Houser, previously wrote for Stranger Things Tales from Hawkins. Writer also Eric Campbell, previously wrote for Dungeons and Dragons World and Realms. Art from Diego Galindo. We have colors. We have colors from Diana Sousa, and we have lettering from Nate Piekos. Yeah, this is probably going to do well. It's Stranger Things, it's D&D, sounds like a lot of fun. That's what we got there. Let's move to our next one, which is Star Wars Legacy of Vader. Another book that nobody asked for. New Kylo Ren ongoing book that takes place between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Destined for shelves February 2nd, 2025. Writer is Charles Soule, which is interesting because Soule does pretty good stuff. And art from Luke Ross. I feel like this is really them being Disney and the parent company of Marvel at this point, really trying to push an era of Star Wars that nobody really has any love for right now. Like, you're not gonna stop trying to make that a thing. That's just not gonna happen. But, I mean, again, Charles Soule does not do terrible work, so I'm intrigued at the very least. Again, February 2nd, 2025 is when that will be out on shelves. Next up, we have another sequel in comic book form, kind of, and that is Trick or Treat Witching Hours. Trick or Treat, the anthology horror movie that everybody watches at Halloween time because little Sam is just too adorable to not watch and also be super creeped out by. But this is going to be also anthological in nature, so it's going to be a collection of stories. It is going to be done, one of the head writer on the project is Michael Dougherty, who is the creator of the movie as well. He has teamed up with a series of legit comic book writers in the industry that are going to do, again, more stories from the world established in the movie. It is being run through a Kickstarter, so the link for that Kickstarter is down in the description if you want to go check that out. I mean, Trick or Treat we're going to talk about it again in the movie section, so stick around for that, but is kind of a classic at this point, so it's kind of cool that we're finally getting something. And maybe we're going to get something else. Again, we'll talk about that in a moment. That is, though, what we have for the regular news for this section. Let's talk about our suggestions this week. Again, Halloween time. Let's get into comic book Halloween suggestion. This week it is The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Check out Volume 1. That is the book that the Netflix series was based on. It was written by the producer on the Netflix series, written by a man named Roberto Aguirre Sacasa. He's the head of the Archie comics these days. He got his start in the horror stuff, the Archie horror, and now is over the entire bit because he's just good enough to do that. So yeah, it's very interesting, very much a Halloween book and a whole hell of a lot of fun. if not kind of darker than you might be expecting, considering it's an Archie book technically, so just be aware that it's a little dark. Either way, that's your suggestion for the week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.